Joining me now is Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, Mukul Rohatgi. Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, really appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to NDTV. Sir, on 26th of August 2014, while you were representing the centre as Attorney General, you had told the Supreme Court bench, which was led by Chief Justice of India then, R.M. Lodha, that if you want Katchatheevu back, you will have to go to war to get it back. This was the stand in 2014. Now it has become a political talking point.
See, Marya, before I respond, it is necessary to see the historical background. It appears that this island, which is about 30 kilometers from Rameshwaram, was a part of India. It is virtually at our doorstep, though it is uninhabited. And it's a sizable island of about 250-300 acres. Now, it appears that in the year 1974, the then Congress government led by Mr. Gandhi, under an agreement, for what reason I do not know, or is apparent, it appears that the island was handed over to Sri Lanka. Now, why was it handed over? Was it necessary? What did we get in return? Are questions which the then government or the current dispensation of Congress should answer. Why was a territory which belonged to this country given away? Normally, you have territory exchanges. We have had exchanges with Pakistan in the past. In 1958, 1960, we had some exchanges with Pakistan because that was an aftermath of partition. That is understandable. It was called the Berubari case, where some exchanges took place. I remember some years ago also, the current government also had some exchanges of certain enclaves between India and Bangladesh or something like that. So some give and take of territory can certainly happen. But in this case, it appears to me that there was no give and take, it was only give. Now it is obvious that every citizen of India is entitled to know why was territory of India ceded away, why was it given away? And as any Indian would say, the territory should not be given away at all. The second aspect is the legality. Now, the Constitution of India provides that India will have certain boundaries of states. And if those boundaries have to be altered, and in this case, it will mean that boundary of Tamil Nadu, with which this island was so-called attached in one sense, or was the territory of Tamil Nadu, was given away. So the boundary of Tamil Nadu gets altered. When the boundary of Tamil Nadu gets altered, the Constitution provides that the amended boundaries have to be brought in line in the Constitution, which requires an amendment to the Constitution, which means that it has to be ratified by both houses of Parliament. And also, if the boundary of a particular state gets altered, in this case Tamil Nadu, then the wishes of the assembly of that state have also to be kept in view and respected. It appears that in 1974, when this was done, the wishes of the state, etc., were not taken, the constitution was not amended, and this was followed by the emergency. So emergency, as you know, rights were suspended, nobody knew what was happening, everything was in the dark, and the matter never went to for the views of the House. In fact, Mrs. Jayalalitha raised an issue on this in the Supreme Court. To the best of my recollection, the matter is still pending in the Supreme Court as to whether this agreement was valid by which we have ceded certain areas of the nation to Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Now, that it was very strategic is clear because it involves fishing waters. For our fishermen, there is a constant, as you see in the newspapers every day, there is a constant struggle between Indian fishermen and the Navy in Sri Lanka. They are catching and arresting our people, attaching our boats, etc., etc. Because our people can't go to the island now, and because it's only 30 kilometers away. So it was a disastrous kind of a move. What I said in the Supreme Court was that if you have ceded some land to another nation under an agreement, how do you get it back? Even if the Supreme Court says that the agreement was invalid, that doesn't bind the other sovereign nation. Why will they give it back? So you can get it back either by negotiation. If that happens, that would be lovely. But I don't think there is much chance of, a negotiation by which you get your land back. If that doesn't happen, how else do you get it back? You can try it by force. The moment you try it by force, it leads to aggression, and that's a very, very significant step.
Okay.
After having first given it 50 years ago, then you say no, it was wrongly given. Then you wait, get
Mr.
it back.
Rohatgi, what is the status of that petition, if I may ask?
Madam, that petition is still pending. I just had it checked from my office. Those petitions are still pending. They haven't been decided.
Okay, there is this, a document which has been put out by the political opponents of this government, and I want you to tell me, because as the law officer, you would be privy to a lot more details than what we know about, sir. It says that as per the RTI response in 2015, when the current foreign minister was serving as the foreign secretary, it was said this did not involve either acquiring or ceding of territory belonging to India, since the area in question had never been demarcated. And under the agreements, the island of Katchatheevu lies on the Sri Lankan side of the India-Sri Lanka maritime international boundary line. And today the foreign minister and yesterday the prime minister has been talking about that it was ceded. So what exactly is the status, sir? You would be privy to those documents.
No, madam, very frankly, I am not privy to these documents of what you have mentioned about the RTI, but a very simple thing arises in my mind. If it was already a part of Sri Lanka, then why did we have to have an agreement by which we say it has become yours? Unless and until it is ours, only then we can give something. Unless I own something, I can't give it to you. So I don't think it is entirely correct to say that the island belonged to Sri Lanka or was in their line or their side, etc. It seems to me that it was very much a part of India, and it was ceded for no visible gains to India. That seems to be the position from whatever I have read, because it happened in 1974. We were not privy to those kind of things.
Okay, Mr. Rohatgi, because just some time back we were speaking to the first petitioner in this case, who filed the petition in 1974. That was Brij Khandelwal, and he was talking about how, of course, at that time there was emergency and all the fundamental rights of every individual was suspended. Then what really is the future of petition which is there at present before the Supreme Court? Can it be expedited? Can it be fast tracked?
No, madam, of course it can be attempted to be fast tracked. They have been pending for a number of years. I think Jayalalitha's petition has been there for the last 15-20 years. It can certainly be sidetracked by making a mention to Honorable the Chief Justice of India. That's an important issue, it should be sidetracked. But as I said, that, whatever the court may say, how do you bind a sovereign nation on the other side to say that they should give it back? That is the real issue. So according to me, backdoor diplomacy with a neighbor with whom we have now good relations may be the critical answer, because aggression and war, etc., is not an answer. So maybe some backdoor diplomacy can happen where we can try and get back our territory, maybe in exchange of some other rights to Sri Lanka, maybe some fishing rights, some economic rights. The land comes back. That is possible if you sit across the table. And I am sure the current dispensation is competent enough to look at all these things and try and get back our land.
All right, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for speaking to us, because the last recorded statement that came from the government was yours in the Supreme Court, of course. Really appreciate your time. That was former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi talking about his statement on August 26, 2014, when he had told the Supreme Court bench that if you want Katchatheevu back, you will have to go to war and get it back.